Finally tonight, some marine researchers were out looking for sharks the other day off the Canary Islands, where they found something quite unexpected.
The ocean isn't just water. It's the most dangerous and mysterious place on our planet. At only a few hundred meters down, light disappears. At thousands of meters, the pressure could shatter submarines and crush the human body instantly. Yet life survives here in ways that defy science. Glowing monsters, vampire squids, and ancient giants lurking in the dark. And here's the terrifying truth. We've seen less than 20% of it. That means more than 80% of the ocean still hides secrets we can't even imagine.
It's the middle of the night and I'm all alone on the reef. And in this video, we're gonna go crawling around to see what's lurking on the reef when the lights go out.
The last frontier. For thousands of years, people have dreamed of conquering the unknown. We surveyed continents, climbed the tallest peaks, and even walked on the moon. However, there is one huge foreign planet that we have never really mastered. Here on Earth, it's stacked high. The sea. It is the biggest feature on Earth, making up 71% of the planet's surface. It creates more than half of the oxygen we breathe, controls the weather, absorbs carbon, and feeds billions of people. Life wouldn't exist without it. Nevertheless, the ocean is still mostly unknown despite its significance. Less than 20% of it has been mapped and investigated, according to scientists. This indicates that over 80% of the ocean floor remains unexplored, a region where nearly anything could exist, hidden from view. Now, consider this. We have more knowledge about the surface of Mars and even Jupiter's moons than we have about the ocean floor here on Earth. Isn't that an odd sound? How can we comprehend the oceans beneath our feet better than space, which is light years away? The deep's merciless character holds the key to the solution. The illumination turns to darkness at a depth of only 200 meters. It gets colder as you go lower, approaching 0 degrees C, when hardly anything should be able to survive. At 1,000 meters, the pressure is a crushing 100 times more than at the surface, and there is complete darkness. The pressure is more than 1,000 times greater than at sea level by the time you get to the Mariana Trench's bottom, which is almost 11,000 meters below the surface. This is sufficient to quickly crush a human body and cause most submarines to implode.
The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
Not only is exploring these depths challenging, but it is also risky. Even the strongest materials bow under the weight of the water. Glass domes shatter, and machines break under the strain. This explains why so few people have ever visited the deepest point of the ocean in human history. Fewer than those who have set foot on the moon. Despite this, the ocean always shows something remarkable when we venture beneath its surface. Researchers found fish in Antarctica's frigid waters that have antifreeze proteins in their blood, which enable them to live in freezing temperatures. Under conditions that no living thing should have to face, scientists discovered microscopic organisms flourishing in the crushing Mariana Trench. Strange, illuminating monsters have been seen on camera in the abyssal plains, huge squids with eyes the size of basketballs, ghostly sharks that appear to have swum out of prehistory, and anglerfish with live lanterns. We are compelled by these findings to wonder, if this is what we have observed in a small portion of the ocean, what else is there? Perhaps there are predators so large that whales aren't really the sea's kings after all. Would it be possible for whole ecosystems to exist without sunlight, driven by the heat of the earth rather than plants? Were there animals in the ocean that have endured unaltered for hundreds of millions of years, living fossils that are invisible to the naked eye? Water is not all that the ocean is. The final frontier, an alien world, and possibly the biggest enigma our planet still has, is this one. And the scariest aspect? The distance is not light years like space is. Right here, under our feet, it is silent, endless, waiting. Chapter 2. The Layers of the Ocean. The ocean may look like one vast body of water, but in truth, it is divided into hidden worlds stacked one upon another. Scientists call these zones, but to think of them as simple layers is misleading. Each is an entirely separate kingdom, with its own rules, creatures, and secrets. To descend into the ocean is to journey through Earth's most alien landscapes. Epipelagic Zone. We begin at the surface, in the epipelagic zone, stretching from the surface down to about 200 meters. This is the ocean we know, the one painted by sunlight. Coral reefs dazzle with impossible colors, schools of fish ripple like shifting mirrors, and dolphins leap joyfully above the waves. Sea turtles glide lazily through currents that feel almost welcoming. Yet beneath the beauty lies a fact few realize. Nearly half the oxygen in our atmosphere comes from here, produced by microscopic phytoplankton drifting invisibly through the water. Every second breath you take right now comes not from trees, but from these fragile ocean drifters. But even this world has its limits. Beyond 200 meters, the light begins to die, and we cross into shadow, twilight zone. At 200 to 1,000 meters, we enter the mesopelagic zone, also called the twilight zone. Sunlight fades into ghostly blue and then vanishes, leaving a dim, eternal dusk. This half-lit world is not silent. It glimmers. Creatures here bend light to their will, glowing from within. Lanternfish sparkle like stars scattered across an underwater sky. Hatchetfish erase their own shadows by glowing from their bellies, making themselves invisible to predators lurking below. Squids paint the dark with pulses of bioluminescence, as though the void itself is a canvas. And here, each night, something extraordinary happens. The largest migration on Earth. Trillions of fish and squid rise to the surface under the cover of darkness to feed, only to retreat at dawn. It is an event so vast that it dwarfs the great migrations of land animals, yet it happens every night, just beyond our sight. The midnight zone. Crossing 1,000 meters, all light is gone. We have entered the bathypelagic zone, the midnight ocean. Eternal night reigns here, with temperatures just above freezing and pressure hundreds of times greater than what we feel at the surface. This is a kingdom of monsters shaped by survival in the void. The anglerfish dangles a glowing lure from its head, tricking prey into swimming directly into jaws lined with needle-like teeth. The gulper eel stretches its body like a snake, unhinging its enormous mouth to swallow creatures half its size in a single gulp. And somewhere in the blackness, legends drift. The giant squid, with unblinking eyes the size of dinner plates and arms longer than a bus, waiting in the darkness where no human eye has ever lingered. The abyss. Deeper still, between 4,000 and 6,000 meters, we arrive in the abyssopelagic zone, a name that echoes the Greek word abyss, meaning bottomless pit. Here, the temperature hovers near freezing, and the pressure is more than 600 times greater than at the surface. The seafloor stretches into empty plains, interrupted only by hydrothermal vents that spew black smoke into the water, rich with minerals. And yet, life is here. The Dumbo octopus drifts gracefully with ear-like fins, a pale ghost moving in silence. Tripod fish balance motionless on elongated fins, waiting patiently for food to drift within reach. Sea cucumbers crawl slowly across the soft sediment, surviving on what scientists call marine snow, the endless rain of dead particles falling from the upper layers. The abyss feels eternal, a silent desert where time itself seems to pause. The trenches. And finally, we reach the hadalpelagic zone, beginning at 6,000 meters and plunging into the deepest ocean trenches, down to nearly 11,000 meters at the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench. The pressure here is unimaginable, over 1,000 times greater than at sea level. For decades, scientists believed life could not exist in such crushing blackness. But when technology finally reached these depths, it revealed a secret. Even here, life thrives. Tiny amphipods scuttle across the trench floor, ghostly snailfish with translucent bodies and bones so delicate they would collapse at the surface, swim effortlessly in the crushing dark. And giant single-celled organisms called xenophyophores grow as large as dinner plates, proof that life always finds a way to endure. The ocean, then, is not one realm, but 5. Each layer holds a different version of reality, from the sunlit world we know to the trenches where almost nothing was meant to survive. Yet across them all, life thrives, beautiful, terrifying, and strange beyond imagination. And here lies the haunting truth. We have explored less than 20% of the deep sea. If we've already discovered glowing predators, monstrous squids, and ghostly fish in the fraction we've seen, what secrets must still be waiting in the vast, uncharted 80%? Chapter 3. Creatures of the Deep. As we leave behind the last fading rays of sunlight and descend into the twilight zone, between 200 and 1,000 meters, the ocean begins to reveal its strangest inhabitants. Here, where only a dim blue glow lingers, the anglerfish waits. It is perhaps the most iconic predator of the deep. Its body blackened, its teeth like needles, and from its forehead, a glowing lure dangles, swaying like a living trap. Smaller fish, drawn to the promise of food or light, swim too close, only to be swallowed whole in an instant. What makes the anglerfish even more unsettling is its peculiar way of mating. The tiny male fuses himself permanently to the female's body, becoming little more than a source of sperm. In the vast emptiness of the twilight zone, where encounters with a mate are rare, this grotesque union ensures the survival of the species. Deeper still, as we enter the midnight zone between 1,000 and 4,000 meters, light vanishes completely, and the creatures that dwell here look as though they belong to another world. Among them is the gulper eel, a long, snake-like predator with a mouth that can open wide enough to swallow prey nearly as large as itself. It doesn't hunt with speed, but with patience, drifting silently until an unsuspecting fish or squid strays too close, then striking with jaws that balloon outward like a net. Its stomach stretches like elastic, allowing it to digest enormous meals in a place where food is scarce. Nearby, the giant squid drifts in silence, its vast tentacles coiling and uncoiling in the blackness. With eyes the size of dinner plates, it can see in the faintest light of the abyss. Growing more than 12 meters long, the giant squid is one of the largest invertebrates on Earth. Yet it is rarely seen alive. Its existence for centuries known only through legends of sea monsters and the scars it left on the bodies of sperm whales that hunted it in the dark. Not all creatures of the midnight zone inspire fear. Among them drifts the vampire squid, a delicate being cloaked in a web of skin stretched between its arms, giving it the appearance of wearing a dark cape. Despite its ominous name, the vampire squid doesn't drink blood, but survives instead on marine snow, a constant rain of dead particles and organic debris drifting down from the world above. When threatened, it performs a dazzling display, pulsing with blue and red lights while turning itself inside out to reveal rows of spines along its arms. In a realm where escape is impossible, spectacle becomes its defense. As the descent continues, the abyssal zone between 4,000 and 6,000 meters swallows us in silence. Here the water is near freezing, and the pressure is more than 600 times greater than at the surface. The seafloor stretches into vast plains of black mud and jagged ridges. Yet even here, life endures. The Dumbo octopus hovers gracefully with ear-like fins that flap gently as it moves, a pale ghost drifting through the void. The tripod fish stands eerily on its elongated fins like stilts, waiting motionless for food to drift within reach. Slowly crawling across the sediment, sea cucumbers feed on the endless fall of organic material, a reminder that even in the most desolate corners of the earth, life finds a way to continue. And finally, we plunge into the Hadal zone, beginning at 6,000 meters and reaching nearly 11,000 meters in the deepest trenches. Here, the pressure is so extreme that for centuries, scientists believed life could not survive at all. But when technology finally pierced the trenches, life was waiting. Transparent snailfish swim effortlessly in the crushing dark, their bodies delicate but perfectly adapted to survive. Tiny amphipods scurry across the muddy trench floor, while strange giant single-celled organisms called xenophyophores grow larger than a human hand. These organisms thrive not on sunlight, but on the chemical richness of the seafloor itself, proving that life bends even the harshest rules. From the twilight glow of the anglerfish to the ghostly shapes of snailfish in the trenches, the creatures of the deep are living evidence that evolution never stops inventing. Each zone of the ocean tells a different story, each one stranger than the last. And yet, all of this represents only a fraction of what exists. With more than 80% of the deep sea still unexplored, we must ask, if these are the creatures we know, what unimaginable beings still hide in the uncharted dark? Chapter 4. Life Against the Impossible. The deeper we travel into the abyss, the more we realize that life in the ocean doesn't just survive. It defies possibility. Every layer we've passed through has tested the limits of biology. But in the deepest zones, those limits are pushed so far that scientists once believed nothing could live there. And yet, the deep sea has proven them wrong again and again. At depths where pressure could crush a submarine, delicate creatures like snailfish glide effortlessly, their bones reduced, their bodies soft and gelatinous, perfectly adapted to withstand forces hundreds of times greater than what we experience at the surface. Their very existence challenged everything science once assumed about survival. How can something so fragile endure what would instantly kill nearly every other creature on Earth? This mystery alone forced researchers to rethink the boundaries of life. But the surprises don't end with survival. They grow stranger. In the absolute darkness of the Hadal trenches, life has evolved without sunlight, depending instead on energy that comes from the Earth itself. Near volcanic fissures on the seafloor, entire ecosystems thrive around hydrothermal vents. Here, towering black smokers spew superheated, mineral-rich water into the freezing abyss. Out of this chemical chaos, bacteria harness energy not from light, but from chemicals like hydrogen sulfide, a process known as chemosynthesis. This discovery in the late 1970s shocked the scientific world. It was proof that life does not need the sun. Could this mean that alien life on distant icy moons like Europa or Enceladus might exist in a similar way, huddled around hidden oceans beneath their frozen crusts? Around these vents, bizarre creatures gather. Giant tube worms, growing taller than a human, have no mouths and no stomachs. Instead, they host symbiotic bacteria inside their bodies that convert toxic chemicals into food. Blind shrimp cluster near the scalding vent water, their backs dotted with light-sensitive spots that detect faint infrared radiation. And lurking nearby, the giant vent crab hunts with claws sharp enough to snatch prey in a heartbeat. Together, they form a food web entirely independent of the surface world. A hidden kingdom that thrives in a place once thought barren. But not all mysteries of the deep are tied to what we can see. Some of the most chilling secrets come from what we hear. In 1997, NOAA hydrophones detected a sound unlike anything ever recorded. It was dubbed the bloop. Low, powerful, and unlike known geological activity, the sound was so loud it was detected over 5,000 kilometers apart. At first, whispers spread. Could it be the call of a massive, unknown creature lurking in the abyss? Eventually, scientists attributed it to ice quakes from shifting Antarctic glaciers, but doubts remain. The deep ocean is vast, and the possibility of an undiscovered Leviathan remains alive in the imagination of many. Other unexplained noises, the upsweep, the Julia sound, and the train, continue to puzzle researchers. They echo across the ocean, sometimes seasonal, sometimes fleeting, with no definitive explanation. Each time such a sound is captured, humanity is reminded of how much we don't know about the world below. And then there are encounters that move beyond instruments into legend. For centuries, sailors told tales of creatures that dwarfed their ships, of tentacles curling around masts before disappearing into the dark water, and of enormous shapes emerging from the depths. Before the first images of a live giant squid surfaced in 2004, these stories were written off as fiction for years. The distinction between myth and reality suddenly became blurry. If one legendary sea monster could be proven real, how many others might still be hiding where no human eye has reached? Life against the impossible isn't just about survival. It's about mystery. The deep sea holds truths that seem more like fiction, worlds that could rewrite our understanding of biology, and sounds that stir both wonder and fear. With more than 80% of the ocean still unexplored, the haunting question remains: are the creatures we've seen only the beginning? Chapter 5: Myths and Monsters of the Sea. For as long as humans have gazed across the waves, the ocean has been both a giver of life and a source of terror. Its depths were unknown, its silence broken only by strange sounds and violent storms. To sailors of the past, the sea was not empty. It was alive, haunted by monsters too vast and powerful to comprehend. Many of these legends, once dismissed as fantasy, now seem eerily connected to creatures we know exist in the deep. Take the Kraken, for instance. For centuries, Norse sailors spoke of a beast with tentacles large enough to drag entire ships beneath the waves. At first, it was thought to be only a myth meant to frighten crewmen into obedience. But then, in the modern era, scientists discovered the giant squid, a real creature stretching more than 12 meters long, with eyes as large as dinner plates and tentacles strong enough to scar even the mighty sperm whale. Could the Kraken have been the first warning of the giant squid, glimpsed in the twilight zone when it surfaced during battles with whales? Then there is the tale of Leviathan, the monstrous sea serpent described in the Bible and echoed in cultures from Japan to the Mediterranean. In an age before deep-sea exploration, even a fleeting sight of a massive oarfish with its shimmering silver body stretching over 10 meters could easily be mistaken for a dragon of the sea. When these rare fish washed ashore after storms, they fueled centuries of stories about serpents rising from the abyss. The mermaids of folklore, half human and half fish, also tell an intriguing story. Sailors often reported seeing them in remote waters, describing creatures with flowing hair and haunting songs. Many of these encounters may have been with manatees or dugongs, marine mammals whose shape could easily trick the eyes of weary sailors. But in some regions, the descriptions grow stranger. Figures with glowing skin, piercing eyes, and voices that seem to come from beneath the waves themselves. Were these simply hallucinations brought on by thirst and exhaustion, or could they hint at something more elusive hiding in the shallows? The ocean's deepest myths, however, often speak of things too large to imagine. Polynesian lore tells of Kanaloa, a god of the underworld who took the form of a giant squid. Japanese fishermen feared the umebozu, a shadowy figure that would rise from the sea to capsize ships. In the Caribbean, sailors whispered of the lusca, a half-shark, half-octopus monster said to lurk in blue holes and drag divers into the dark. These stories share a common thread: encounters with creatures rising from depths beyond human reach, striking suddenly and leaving no survivors to tell the full tale. Modern science has explained some of these legends, but not all. The vastness of the ocean still leaves room for mystery. What if the Kraken is more than just the giant squid? Could there be even larger undiscovered cephalopods lurking in the abyssal zone? What if some of the sea serpent sightings were not mistakes at all, but fleeting glimpses of animals yet to be named? The ocean doesn't just hide monsters, it creates them in our minds. Every unexplained noise, every half-seen shadow, and every body that vanishes without a trace feeds the imagination. Myths and monsters may not just be relics of the past. They may be warnings of what still waits in the deep, watching us from the darkness. Chapter 6: The Unanswered Questions. For all that we have seen, for all that science has uncovered, the ocean remains a riddle far greater than its answers. Every expedition brings discoveries, yet for each mystery solved, 10 more appear. It is as though the sea is deliberately keeping its secrets, revealing only enough to remind us how little we truly know. One of the greatest questions lies in the sheer scale of the unknown. More than 80% of the world's oceans remain unexplored, mapped only in rough outlines. We know the surface of the moon, and even parts of Mars in greater detail than we know the bottom of our own seas. What vast mountain ranges, hidden trenches, or even entire ecosystems lie beneath, waiting for discovery? Could there be entire species, larger than anything we have ever imagined, still hidden in the blackness? Then there are the mysteries of sound. Hydrophones continue to pick up unexplained noises in the deep, long, haunting signals that defy classification. The bloop, upsweep, Julia, and other strange recordings remain unsolved puzzles. Are they natural, geological, the groans of shifting ice, or the calls of creatures still beyond our understanding? The ocean is the perfect place to hide something colossal. Its size and silence can swallow the truth whole. Even the creatures we do know spark more questions than answers. The giant squid, once a myth, is now a reality. But how large can they truly grow? Some scars found on sperm whales suggest encounters with animals even bigger than those caught on camera. Could there be something out there even larger, lurking in the abyss? The megamouth shark, discovered only in 1976, reminds us that massive species can live in the open ocean without us noticing them for centuries. How many more giants remain hidden? And then there is the question of life itself. At the hydrothermal vents, bacteria survive without sunlight, feeding on chemicals once thought incapable of sustaining life. If life can exist there, in boiling water surrounded by toxins, what else is possible? Could forms of life exist in ways we have not yet imagined, beyond our current definitions of biology? But perhaps the most haunting unanswered question is this: what don't we know that we should fear? Throughout history, humans have underestimated the sea. We built ships thinking we ruled it, only to lose them to storms and unseen hazards. We laughed at tales of sea monsters, only to later discover some were real. Are we making the same mistake now, assuming the ocean has shown us its darkest secrets, when in truth, it has barely opened the first page? The unanswered questions of the deep are not just scientific puzzles, they are reminders. Reminders that Earth is not fully conquered, not fully mapped, and not fully known. In the darkness below, there may still be revelations waiting that could change our understanding of life, our planet, and perhaps even our place in the universe.